Hey guys, Natural Progressive, it's Chris. Hey, it's Monday Madness. Waiting for Val to jump on. Vegamatic is supposed to be here. Notoriously late, but that's okay. He always is. Um, I have jet lag from hell. Just drove 300 and something, maybe 400 something miles. I don't even know. I drove a while in the heat. It's crazy. It's a beautiful drive. Wish I didn't have to drive before anyone says anything, but that's just the way it is. So there's a lot happening in the news. Things are coming down really fast. Val. Hey Val, how you doing? Hey, we got Scott with us too. It looks like cool. Hello, Scott.
Hi, Chris.
How are you?
Fair
Okay.
and balanced.
Us, fair and balanced, great. Just perfect for this Fox News broadcast.
Not what I meant.
Okay,
Only in
so
the sense of the word.
Scott, what is your name on YouTube so we know who you are exactly?
I don't know that I want to go through with this, actually. I'm not sure. I've
You're
never
good.
been a hard chance. The day went well, it might be good. I don't know. I don't really have anything to say. I should be writing.
Okay, cool. Well, welcome.
Well,
Um,
thank you.
feel
I
free to
love
jump
this
in.
channel, by the way.
Awesome. Okay, Val, so what's going on? You've heard all the news that's going on lately. Oh my God. The world is in a storm from hell. One thing right after another. What's weighing on your mind? Oh, there's Veg too. Oh my God.
Going to hell in a handbasket.
Hold on, we got to get everyone's things muted. We'll get there.
My theme song is "Highway to Hell" by AC/DC.
We need to play that, huh? If we wouldn't get a copyright strike, I would, for sure.
But do later in the show, I know you're against solar, Chris, and I got some reasons why personally that I know why.
Against what? What am I against?
Solar energy.
Oh, okay.
So I can mention that later on.
Okay, I'm not entirely against solar. I worry about solar having unintended consequences, like over mining and all that in order to put.
Okay, well, this is my personal experience with solar, so
Okay.
I'll mention that later.
Okay, cool. Hey, Veg, say hi and
how you doing?
I'm
Can you
tired.
hear me okay?
I can hear you fine. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Did everyone else hear him? Wedgie, Trev B5. By the way, hi Trev B5. Hi Oz. I know you're listening. Awesome. He's working on something else, but he's listening while he's working. May your soils remain frozen. Dorstein, thank you. May all your soils remain frozen. Let ours be normal, just normal this time of year. That would be great. Gazar, hello. Hello, Gazar. I'm not offended by your comments, so don't worry. Because he was talking about how I was using a road and polluting and stuff, and I know that. I don't want to, but that's kind of what I have to do. Is either that or I work for Walmart at the warehouse. That's kind of my choice.
There's a career choice, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, which has the lesser footprint on the planet? I don't know. I have no idea.
I don't think, I read that comment. I thought it was a little over the top, actually, because there's not one of us that isn't involved in
No,
the
I
destruction.
think that was his point. I'm pretty sure that he did not mean it in any vicious way. Just he was making a point that we all contribute to it, and it's
Absolutely.
true. We do.
Yeah, it is.
And unless we can make a choice to be a vagabond on the side of the street, I can't do that because my horses can't come along with me on the side of the street. So,
well, there are Mennonite communities you could join, I guess, but the religion thing might put you off. I mean, you see them going down the highway all the time, so they still use 19th century transportation, and
they're so far
I guess it
away
works.
from me. I'd have to transport all my horses, and then they'd still want to put down my horses that aren't good for nothing, like the old ones.
Oh,
And I'd
that's no
rather
good.
buy old fart horses and keep some people around. It's like-
Don't blame you there.
oh my gosh. So how cool is it we have Scott? It's Scott Murto, right? That's you, right? Murto?
Wait a minute.
Oh. Hey.
Or no, okay, there I am. Yes,
Hey.
Scott.
Ew. How cool is it we have Scott? It's Scott Murto, right? That's
Yep.
you, right?
Yep, that is correct.
Someone's got to mute their YouTube.
Oh, I just put a link in the chat. What the hell? I'll click on it.
Hey. Ew. How cool is it we have Scott? It's Scott Murto. This always takes a minute.
Yep, that is correct.
Someone's got to mute
That's probably from mine.
Is that Pat the Batman fan, or am I just?
It is.
Okay, because you have a different name on there now. It doesn't say Pat anymore.
I do? Wait a minute.
It says
Hold on.
Cricket.
Let me sign out and re-sign back in.
Okay.
Well, you sound okay now. Technical difficulties, folks.
I know, that's Monday Madness. It wouldn't be Monday if we didn't have a little madness in it.
That's
Hey,
true.
Chris Foster, you're still awake. Awesome. It was just that confused me when Pat didn't have Pat up there. It was, yeah.
This is
Ticket?
turning into a big party every Monday night, you know?
I know, right? Well, we need it. We all need to have this community. It's just something we need to have.
Yes,
I
I'm
guess-
missing out the Canada Day celebrations just to be here. So I never like I don't like the fireworks anyway, and it scares my cats. So yeah.
Oh, I know. It scares my dogs too. The two biggest wussies have passed away since. So, but still it bothers all of them. I'm doing on 4th of July, our 4th of July, big fireworks day. I am interviewing Derek Jensen.
Oh, good for you. It's,
Very excited about that. And then tomorrow I have Marcus Conte on in the morning, like first thing. So this has to end it on time because I have some sleep before talking to Marcus Conte. Kind of excited about that. And then next week, Wednesday at 6:30 Mountain Time PM, Jordan Sharon is going to come on about the water stuff. So
you're making it up into the big leagues there, Chris. You know.
I'm working on it. It's a lot
I
of
watch
work.
Jordan stuff all the time. You know.
Oh, I love Jordan. Everything he's done with Standing Rock and Flint and all that environmentalism, that's right up my alley. So
yeah.
Super excited.
Kids got
I
balls.
can show you, excuse me.
Yeah.
Well, I can do this. I'm showing these books.
What are those?
If anybody needs to look anything up in the Foxfire books, I don't know if they're available online or not.
Oh, wow.
teaches you everything in the old ways. I'm in the process of moving my library right now and just ran across these. They're a great resource. If you can never get your hands on these, tells you everything about making moonshine, skinning hogs, planting by the signs. So
if you want to make a dulcimer.
Oh, everything is in here. Everything.
But those are like survival guides. Is that what they are? Sorry.
No,
That's Appalachian how-to books, right? Isn't that right? They're like from the Appalachians.
Yep. The Foxfire people, this was like back in the 70s, I think.
Yeah.
And they just collected stories about how people did things in the old times, before the Industrial Revolution. It's like 18th century, 19th century, living off the land kind of thing.
Survivalist books, things that can help you learn how to do things the old-fashioned way.
Yeah. I think of survivalism nowadays as something like way more high tech. This is like doing everything. At least the survivalists I know, they've got every goddamn new gadget. This is like made by hand. So
I think of survivalists as going back to the old ways of doing things. That's maybe I'm weird that way.
Hey,
Maybe you should send Chris the books.
Yeah, maybe I would love it.
The first
Julie,
place,
hi. Julie's here.
the first place to go when the shit hits the fan is go to Cracker Barrel because they have all the old farming equipment on the wall.
They're all hanging on the wall.
You can just go take it up, the skates, shotguns,
That's probably the only good reason to go to a Cracker Barrel.
I know.
But it's fair. They're saving it for us. They're saving it for us for when we need to.
We have everything they have at Cracker Barrel.
You do, but I don't. I'm telling the rest of them, go to Cracker Barrel and get your gear for the 18th century. Fun.
The Cracker Barrel revolution has begun.
I'm confused. What's Cracker Barrel?
Oh,
it's a
like
restaurant out here.
Yeah.
Throw all the mega folks hang out.
Like a Shoney's
Yes,
or kind of like a
Jordan
Denny's.
did just interview Cornell West and Nina Turner. So yes, and I can
Vegamatic Cracker Barrel likes to buy antiques from the 19th century, like old farm implements, and they
Okay.
washboard.
wall. So everything you need is there to go back to the 18th century.
I don't think that I'm capable of going back to the 19th century. I'm such a I don't have any survival skills. I figure when the shit hits the fan, I want to be dead center, right? I figure that's it. I'm old. I don't really particularly care about trying to survive, you know? I figure I'll take my chances with the rest of us here on the disappearing planet and in the land of the melting permafrost, which is something that we've been dealing with here, which is
give us an update on Canada and the fires.
Fires. Don't
Yes.
know much about the fires this year. I haven't honestly heard anything so far. Last year was pretty bad, even in Ontario and out west. Right now, there's a drought in the prairies, and it's soaking wet here, and the farmers can't get into their fields. So we're going to be looking at like food shortages, I think, this coming fall everywhere. Because I mean, you look at the bread basket in the U.S. and it's the floods and a lot of farmers just can't get their crops in this year.
And
so
Europe's not doing much better because of
the heat wave. Yeah. And they don't have air conditioning.
Yeah.
I don't believe in this. I mean, those prepper guys, like, I think they're kind of pissing in the wind, but I do watch their channels and try and keep up with them because they got their ear to the ground about stuff. You know what I mean?
Canadian Prepper is the only one I watch.
Yeah.
I like Canadian Prepper.
Yeah.
He's good. I mean, he's paying attention, and I like his attitude. It's just, enjoy your time right now because that's all you really have. So.
He's got more up here than most of the rest of the preppers. An intellectual sort of guy.
Yeah.
So
one of the things I noticed a couple of months ago with him, I don't know if anybody else noticed this, but it seemed to me he was coming out with a larger number of videos emphasizing beyond the individual survivalist approach, the need for forming mutual aid networks.
Yeah, communities and all that, and working together.
Yeah, recently he started talking about that, which I think is really encouraging.
I think the biggest thing is because he's realized climate change is real and it's a real threat. He went on that on one of his videos.
Yeah, that too. That's right. He did. He did finally say, "Yep, I'm throwing in the towel. You guys win. It is happening." Yeah, and that's the shift in his thinking going on. That's cool.
You mean because he had Guy on before, so maybe that had something to do with it too. I don't know.
That can change your heart and mind. That's for sure.
Yeah, to me. Do any of you guys use ham radios by any chance?
No.
Use crystal radios here locally on our low power AM broadcasting station.
Yeah, because those guys, I know in disasters they can be, and if everything goes out, they can still, I know I was talking to a guy who said they have like a network of communication going that's pretty impressive.
I think my husband has an old one. I don't know
Wi-Fi and all that other stuff.
But I'm pretty sure he has one that's been passed down to him. I'm pretty sure he doesn't know how to use it though. Anybody had one?
Chris, can you ask him how much he wants for it if he wants to sell it? Because I'll buy it.
He won't sell anything from his family. I've tried to get him to, because I just don't want to have that much stuff. And they keep giving us more and more stuff. And our house is freaking packed with stuff. And I don't want any more stuff. So, no, he won't sell anything. Hi, Mike Hawk.
Oh, well.
The prepper
I
is
did
the
ask.
epitome of a selfish individual with a complete disdain for their community and neighbors. Well, Canadian prepper is not being that way right now. He's actually pushing being part of a community because that's how you're going to survive. Hey, Moose Gal. Who are all your guests? Okay, Moose Gal would like an introduction. So we have Val. Val, say hi. Valhalla 56 on YouTube.
Hello.
Yeah, Mirto. Say hi, Scott.
Hi.
Okay, we have Pat the Batman fan. Say hi, Pat.
Hello.
Okay, and then we have Vegamatic.
How's it going, eh?
And then we have me. Okay,
Oh,
now that
sure.
everyone's introduced, so y'all know who's who here. Trev, happy Canada Day. You should say happy Canada Day to Veg too, because
Yeah, happy Canada Day, buddy.
Yeah, I'm sitting here listening to my neighbors setting off fireworks, and I just don't get the whole thing. But you know, it's an excuse for a holiday and a party, so why not? Like, at least we're not going to have like your July 4th down on the mall with Herr Drumpf there using it as a campaign rally and a military parade. That should be fun. God.
Oh God. Oh. Yeah, we just have the Mormons out here at this big fireworks show in Utah County. They call it Happy Valley, where all the Mormons are. It's like a non-alcoholic 4th of July celebration. Usually there's a concert of some variety. I don't even know. It's huge though up here. And
so it's not a good place to trip on acid then.
Probably. I mean, they have it at BYU, Brigham Young University, where all the Mormons go. Yeah, they have it there, and I've actually snuck alcohol into there when
No.
The LDS police are coming for you.
Oh, let them. That was 20 years ago.
You're gonna get a knock on the door. Two white guys with ties later.
Oh man, don't worry. They knock on my door anyway, and I have to find some way to get them to skedaddle. Usually, all I do is, because they are kind of required to help people out if people ask them. So if you ask them to help, they'll never come back. So one time I had them rake all the leaves. It was fall and our lawn was covered with like 3 inches of leaves. I'm like, could you help me do that? So they worked all day clearing the leaves, and I never heard from them again. That's a secret. They'll help you, and then they won't come back. You're too much work for them.
Brilliant.
Well, I found it.
Oh, I was going to ask you where in Canada you were from, Veg.
I'm from Montreal originally, but right now I live in London, Ontario, which I refer to as the armpit of Canada. We're about 100 miles from east of Detroit here.
Yeah. So you're of Montreal.
I'm from Montreal originally. Yeah, I grew up in Montreal.
Don't people say of Montreal?
Montreal?
Yeah.
Not me, but
oh, well, good.
It's been a while. It's been a while since I've heard Montreal Franglish, which is kind of a bastardized English and between the English and French thing that goes on in Montreal. No, Quebec now is not really a very progressive friendly place, shall we say. I mean, they're very I don't know how to put this, insular, and they really don't like immigrants and people that don't speak French. There was a whole huge English community in Montreal, and most of them have left because there's actually laws that say you can't post an English sign. Say if you have a business and it's an English sign, that's against the law. They're closing down all the English schools and everything, and it's ridiculous because it's a political thing. French and English get along just fine, but somehow you get these ultra nationalists, and I guess they're separatists. They want to separate from Canada, the Quebecois, and they just don't like English people, or they passed laws too that like in public that the Muslim women can't wear certain attire and that, and it's just getting a little bit a little bit uncomfortable. And Montreal has been sort of declining for many, many years. When I was a kid, it was the largest city in Canada, and now that has long ago been supplanted by Toronto. And so, I don't know, Canada is going right wing, unfortunately. The leader of the province here, the premier, I guess the equivalent of your governor, is an extreme right wing, Trump supporting guy and a big asshole. So we've got our problems.
That's not Doug Ford, right?
Doug Ford, yeah, Rob
Oh,
Ford.
that is his province. So
that's where I am. Yeah,
yeah, he's a sack of shit, man.
Oh man, yeah, I know.
He's taking a month-long vacation.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah. I don't know. I guess I think everywhere in the world now, it's just getting more and more difficult for people where they're ignoring the climate change thing, and even the stuff we're doing in Canada, it's a drop in the bucket. And we've got the carbon tax that makes absolutely no difference, and it probably ends up in general revenue instead of going into any environmental projects or anything. So I think it's really getting I think it's getting to the point of no return now as far as the environment goes. I'm honestly kind of a doomer when I look at the future because I just do not see, I mean, between nuclear war and climate catastrophe, I just can't understand, I can't see that the human race has maybe even another 50 years. Now, maybe that's a bit hyperbolic, but it doesn't seem so to me. Just watching
that report that came out, 2050 is when human civilization is supposed to totally collapse. So that's a long ways from 2100 that everyone was talking about from the IPCC report. So that's a huge shift. I'm looking forward to talking with Marcus Conte about that because not everybody knows his position on environment. But he told me he actually read that report and he wanted to talk about it. So this will be interesting, right? Absolutely. I don't know if y'all know who he is. Have you ever?
I'm not familiar with him.
Look him up. He's very interesting. He has this way, like he did a bait and switch with Trump supporters. He pretended he was kind of like a Trump person. He was really sneaky about it, and then he slowly divulged himself as not such a Trump person. It was so sneaky. I was at first wondering if he was the biggest whack job on the planet or the most intelligent person ever. And I'm coming to the conclusion he's very intelligent. He has a really good way of getting the Trump people to watch his show. You just have to watch. It's really interesting, and it's kind of evolved from like 6 months
definitely.
ago. It's like he sucked them
definitely into that.
He's really
anybody that can pull the wool over the eyes of those strange people has got my respect.
I think he's really good at it. He's really good at it. It's crazy how good he is at it. But it's totally a bait and switch. He sounds like an ass sometimes, but he's just pulling those people in. And then suddenly you hear his real opinion. It's like, whoa, okay, all right.
Oh, does it feel weird to have concentration camps in America now?
Oh God.
Okay, Alex.
Well, we've had them before.
Yeah, but Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, I've been following on Twitter quite a bit, and I can't believe that Americans are actually tolerating the conditions in those places. That people are drinking out of toilets because the guards won't give them water. Some of the reports, and they won't let Congress people into these places. So nobody really knows what's going on, as horrendous as it is. So I don't know. I mean, I'm almost thinking, are you guys going the way that the Third Reich went, or is that being just too extreme? The way I see things going, man, is just like frightening. The political situation frightens me as much as the environmental, or more even at this point, because it's just one little thing after another, each a bit more outrageous, and it keeps people off balance. And I just don't see I just don't see the end game being very good, no matter what happens.
Dude, the Gestapo carried little bitty guns, little 25 caliber guns. The U.S. police have AR-15s, fully auto. They have riot shotguns. They have military vehicles, armored vehicles. They're way past the Nazis, man. And the U.S. prisons are pretty much they're pretty bad. Along the lines of third world. They're rough places, man. So hope you don't. Well, you're in Canada, so Canucks don't go to American prisons, so you don't have to worry.
Well, I don't know. If I ever tried to cross the border, I may end up there.
Well, I met a Canuck in one of those places.
Oh yeah. I don't plan on crossing the border anytime soon. Maybe one day, when democracy returns to America, I may cross the border.
Ever, I don't think it's going to return to America. I think I know I am a total doomer. I want to do everything I can to preserve what we can while we can, but I know that people aren't going to do what needs to be done. So that's what makes me a doomer entirely. It's just like nobody's going to do anything that needs to be done. So what the hell was my point? Like I said, I'm tired. I traveled a lot and worked in between. I don't know.
Don't drive with your phone out, Chris. I was worried about you. I was watching that. I was like, oh, put your phone down while you're driving.
It was on a little hook.
Yeah, windy road. I was like, that's all we need.
I know. I'm a good driver.
Yeah. Be careful.
And there's no one else on the road. That's the only thing I worry about. I mean, you can go for miles and miles. Like sometimes I'll go 3-4 hours without seeing another person. And I love that, though. That doesn't bother me in the least. Actually, it's less scary when there's no people there. Unless I break down, and then that would be bad. But that hasn't happened yet. Knock on wood.
To answer your question, Chris, we city folks do get it. We city folks do get it.
You do get it?
Yeah. Yeah. We have a network of people here in the city of Lansing that know what's going on. We have community gardens. We rejoice every time we see a butterfly or a pollinator. People are starting to think I'm weird because I don't kill mosquitoes anymore. It's like, feed on me. The birds need food.
Okay, so you get it. Does that mean all the city people get it? Because I'm not seeing that most city people.
No, certainly not. We follow the same bell curve as the general population.
You think?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that could be, because there's a lot of people out where I live that don't get it either. They're like, oh, I want to build a new house. And furnish it, do this and that. And
oh yeah. The consumer culture is still pervasive. But you'd be surprised the conversations that I hear, like in grocery stores and supermarkets, because there are a number of us that are making a concerted effort to speak out about these issues in public. And we have formed a support group, and we are encouraging each other and supporting each other in what happens to take the courage to be bold.
I consider this a support group, and maybe if we're all together, we feel a little bit more confident talking to people in our own communities about what's going on, and maybe making them see. And then I'd feel a whole lot better that maybe there's no guarantee we can turn things around. Probably not, but I am not going to go down saying that I didn't do a damn thing to fix it.
Right on.
Exactly.
Right. And that's the opinion everybody should have. It's like, don't just lay over and kick your feet up in the air and say, okay, we're done. Yep. Don't do that. Fight till the very end, because what if there's a possibility that we could save it and we did nothing?
If everybody could just do a small thing, it makes a huge difference. When people say, oh, there's nothing I can do, so I'll stick my head in the sand, there's small things any of us can do, and maybe it feels insignificant or inconsequential, but if enough people do it, then it's going to start to make some sort of changes. And we got to fight it. What choice do we have? It's survival.
Be the ripple that makes the wave, but we got to stop the wars. We got to stop the corporations. We got to stand up to all of that, but we need enough people behind us to do that. So,
And-
we need to talk to everybody. We need to work together. We need to just push. And I don't know, just do anything we can.
In the movie 2012, which was, popcorn movie, but at the end of the movie, they had select people that they chose to save. So you bought $1 billion seat on these arcs, and you got saved. And so I have no doubt that something along those, not necessarily arcs, but the billionaires on doing that. It was in the movie, for God's sake. It was in that friggin' movie.
No kidding. Pat, okay, really quick. Moose Gal wanted me to tell you that Batman can save us from global climate chaos.
I wish. You know what else is great in that 2012 movie is John Cusack manages to navigate a limousine from West LA to Santa Monica or something, like while everything's collapsed. I turned it off after that. I was like, right, I'm done.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah. Woody Harrelson was good, though, in it.
I wouldn't know.
Woody Harrelson's always good. I've always liked Woody Harrelson in almost everything he's ever done.
Yeah, he's great. Cheers is one of my all-time favorite shows. Any Cheers?
I'm a Cheers fan. Yeah, I love Cheers.
Great show.
Maggie says I got to talk to normies around me, got to talk to the normies around me, but it's hard. I know, it's like normies. I don't know if you guys watch Collapse Chronicles, but or more Humpty Dumpty Tribe. He talks about normies and how people who understand what's really going on with the climate aren't really normal, and you can't talk to the normies who don't understand what's going on, because it's worse than admitting you're an alien from space and or you've been abducted and all that. It's like worse than that to tell people that you believe in this whole thing that's happening with the climate. It's so anyway, that's normies. It's people that don't understand all of that. I mean, they may understand, the climate change is a thing, but that's way off in the future, and we don't have to worry about it. But people who know it's imminent and happening right now, that can see it, those people are few and far between.
Well, how much of that is a psychological defense mechanism, though? That they don't want to. They maybe even unconsciously know that we're in serious trouble, but they figure there's nothing they can do about it, so let's just push it aside and pretend it isn't happening. And there's millions of people that are pretending that climate change isn't real. It's absurd, but it's still. And I mean, all these years later, all the scientific studies, the actual physical evidence, nothing seems to get through to these people.
No, it doesn't. Not even all the catastrophes happening, all the heat waves, all of that. That's not sinking in. What happened in Mexico with the hailstorm? 5 feet.
Yeah, wasn't that wild? Wow. I saw some pictures.
Insane. Can you guys read the comments too? Because I don't want to get too far behind on the comments. So when you guys see what Moose Gal says, she buys organic produce when it's reasonably priced. To me, it tests better from commercial produce. When I tell people to buy organics, they keep telling me it's a scam. No, it's not really a scam, but local is better. Growing your own is best. But it's not. I mean, kind of some of it's a scam. I have to admit, some of it's a scam. That's why the only way you really know is to grow it yourself or know someone who's growing it, and that's about it. Also against GMOs because Monsanto lobbies Congress. Yes, they accuse me of denying science.
Monsanto
is evil
as hell, man.
Oh, they are evil, evil. I'm not supposed to talk about.
Oh, sorry. Well, there's actually a couple good documentaries on Monsanto on YouTube, but you guys should really check them out to see the lengths that they go to. It's frightening.
They should be tried at the International Criminal Court in The Hague.
I agree with that.
Yeah. The leaders should be hung because think of all the people they're killing.
Nestle too.
Oh, Nestle and water theft. It's going on here in Canada. A lot of small towns.
On Ron Placone, I just wanted to strangle Ron Placone today. I'm sorry, I love Ron Placone, but I wanted to strangle him today. because he was talking about this under the ocean, kind of a clear, clean, non-salt water, like a freshwater current that runs under the ocean. And he was like, yay, we're saved. I mean, not exactly like that, but it's pretty much, hey, we have water for everybody. And I'm like, no, I mean, yeah, so start pumping that water out and see how much we can fuck up our environment even further. I mean, Christ, like what lengths will people go to not understand that we are overpopulated and we need to reduce the population, reduce our consumption. Of course, we can't reduce our consumption of water until we reduce our population, because we all need water, and we just need to change our whole entire system. But yeah,
well, India is
there's so many
facing a severe water shortage, and it's going to be a threat to human life very, very shortly. They're
it already is there.
well, it's
already
going to be
there.
killing people en masse, because there's no way you can live without water, and then they end up drinking.
Can only truck in so much. I mean, how much water can you truck into an area? And pretty soon we're going to be trying to truck in water from here and there and whatever, and just increasing the use of fossil fuels to do that, or pipeline it in from one place to the other.
Dirigible.
A dirigible.
Dirigible?
Yeah.
What is dirigible?
I just watched a video on YouTube that was really, I'm only about halfway through it. Take a look at my channel on the most recent. Like, it looked like it was a really interesting conversation about what's going to happen to the air travel industry during collapse. And they start out the podcast talking about dirigibles, and the one guy on the podcast is going to start a pirate force, and basically, take hooks and take over the other dirigibles. And it's kind of an interesting thought exercise that, the economies of scale are necessary to keep the airline industry running. We don't want
the airlines to run, really. I mean,
well, there needs to be some degree of connectivity, and they are a big part of the economy. Regardless, a lot of people are employed by the airline industry, and I think you could continue. And these guys are talking about it. Pardon?
We can't think economy when our whole entire ecology is dying. Like,
well, it was in the context of water delivery.
Oh, okay.
I mean, people are going to die, without water. And why couldn't we? I mean, dirigibles, there's the helium, right? But you could have solar powered panels on the top of the big, and you could do it with hot air too. And we could deliver water to the people in India. I would think that we could build a whole fleet of dirigibles to deliver water to those people.
Okay, but where are they going to get all this water? And how is it not going to cause a shortage where they're getting it from? And I mean, not only for people, but for the rest of the biosphere and the other animals that need it.
Well,
especially where they're poisoning more and more with mining and fracking and all their crap that's going on. And Moose Scout has a question for everybody.
I'd offer up for the Great Lakes.
Just think on that first.
We're full, actually, in the Great Lakes.
But is it clean water
there? Yeah. Well, not everywhere.
Really? Okay, because I'm confused. Isn't the Great Lakes where Flint is?
Still got bad water in Flint there, though, huh?
I'm talking.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried.
Come in.
Get that. We haven't even gotten them water. We're talking about giving it to India. I mean, we can't even. We have shitty water here,
Yeah, we need to.
It's different things, but still.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, Moose Scout has a question for all you guys. Says, how do we stop corporations from poisoning our food and water in U.S., Canada? And Val, is it better in Canada? I think she meant veg. Is it better in Canada?
No, it isn't.
In the US?
No, it isn't. We're not even allowed to see whether food that we buy in the supermarket is GMO or not.
I love
You can't
that.
know. You can't lay it. I don't know if it's the same in the U.S., but there's no labeling requirements for
There's
GMO
no
food.
labeling requirements here either that I know of.
Okay,
I
so
think we stopped.
I mean, basically, Canada is a branch plant economy anyway. All we are is most of our industry is owned by big American corporations. So I don't think there's a whole lot of difference as far as the corporatocracy goes. I think it's just as bad here. Maybe socially, we're a little bit more advanced with our Medicare for all plans and things like that. Socially,
Oh
it's
yeah, at least we have healthcare. That's something.
well, and honestly, I would be either dead or bankrupt without our medical system. So I'm a big believer in socialized medicine, and I just wish you guys down there had it because I know people go bankrupt all the time from getting sick,
It's too
right?
expensive. It's just too expensive. We can't.
I just got out of the hospital last week or earlier last week.
How are we gonna fund the war if we have Medicare for all?
Right.
That's what I would like to do.
Well, if we can do it here, I mean, and you've got a lot more money down there. I mean, if you didn't spend like what is it, $900 billion a year on your military, you might have some money for some other social programs.
You're
You know,
ruining my
but
joke, Reg. You're ruining my whole joke.
I'm sorry.
The founding father Jefferson says that freedom has to be renewed every couple of years with fresh blood. So I'm all for like executing climate criminals, food criminals, all of them. Sorry, that's just me.
Me too. Corporate criminals, bank frauds, insurance. Yeah.
I'm all for prosecuting them, but I'm totally against the death penalty. So I've been
Okay,
kind of
I am
outspoken
too. Truth be told, I'm against the death penalty, but I like to talk about eating the rich and all that stuff because
They don't
Well,
taste
so I think
very
the
good.
answer to the question is I don't think it can be stopped. Personally, that's my personal opinion. I think they're just corporations they're running everything, you know.
Okay, so the people have failed. They're pussies and they've failed. They won't rise up. They're too scared to rise up and start taking over.
Well, they feel powerless, you know. The system's kind of
By the
designed to
way,
make
hi
you feel
Tom
powerless.
Bob. I want to say hi to people as they show up. Hopefully I didn't miss it, but read some of the comments, guys, as you go along. I'm gonna sneeze here. I've got allergies from hell.
Going south, Torstein is saying gasoline is cheaper than water. Maybe where you are, but
not here yet.
I also want to remind you guys that group of Extinction Rebellion, they allow themselves to get pepper sprayed.
Yeah, I watched that. Yeah,
they're doing something.
That's in Europe. I don't know why that hasn't spread to North America because it's in a lot of countries in Europe, and I've got to admire these kids because they're doing something.
An action in Salt Lake City. There was an action in New York. There was an action in LA.
Oh, okay.
Washington. Yeah, there's been actions.
Yeah, they're like freeway out here. They block the 101.
What's that, Scott?
Did you see what they did in that coal mine in Germany last week?
Oh, they laid on the tracks to keep the trains from.
They. Sorry, I interrupted. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
They camped out in the woods. It looked like there were hundreds of people. Take a look at my Twitter feed, Mid-Michigan Energy Cooperative.
They were camping on the railroad tracks to stop the coal trains from coming, right?
And then, yes. And then they scaled this embankment thing and went into the mine itself.
Wow.
I mean, they were all in these white suits, and I mean, it was quite an action. I mean, they were the clips of them going up these embankment things and then just en masse running.
That's amazing.
Yeah. and they actually went into the mine, which is really fucking dangerous. Believe me.
Oh, human made it. Hi, human. Wow. Yeah, that's insane. I can't thank those people enough. I wish I could do those kind of actions. If I didn't have so many mouths to feed, I would be there. I'd be doing it. And I'm kind of afraid to push this, but my company has us take these online courses through our company, and one of them was talking about doing protesting for the environment and stuff like that, and they encouraged it. So I don't know if I'd get in trouble for it or not after watching that or taking that test. It's an online course of what you can do, for communities and all that. I'm not I'm not sure, because they are a garden chemical company, that's what they had in
So
mind.
is it just corporate greenwashing, or is there any?
I don't know. That's the thing. I mean, my company has been getting more into the organics, which is great, and I push that a lot. That's the only way I can even live with myself working there. I mean, I'll sell organics over our own products, but we do sell organics. So when I'm in the stores working, so people ask me, it's like, okay, well, let's go this direction. You don't want to get cancer. You don't want to ruin the planet. Do this. So I'm hoping I'm influencing a lot of people in my job, moving them in that direction, pushing them. So better than someone who's just going to push.
So why is Roundup still
chemicals,
available
right?
in stores?
I don't know.
I saw it. I saw it the other day, and I went,
It shouldn't
"Wait a
be,
minute!
because
Didn't they ban this?" No,
it's not banned. They're just trying to get a freaking notice on the label that it's potentially cancerous or potentially cause cancer. That's the only thing they're fighting for. Meanwhile, all these people are dying. I had one gal, a customer, come up to me and tell me that her husband, she thinks, died from using Roundup. And it just killed me. I'm like, okay, you need the most natural thing ever. So I sold her Dr. Earth grass and weed killer, because it's totally organic, and it's not my product. I should go work for Dr. Earth, because I sell enough of their shit. So, and I use it. So anyway, Dr. Earth's great.
Didn't Monsanto just face a huge lawsuit over somebody getting cancer from yeah.
Oh yeah, they lost a couple of them.
There's been
far,
two
and there's more to come.
There's been two lawsuits that have been won, not just lawsuits. They've been won, and they've had $100 million judgments. I mean, 100 million plus judgments. And
but that's a drop in the bucket for a corporation like
right.
Monsanto.
There's more.
That's petty cash.
Osama's here. Osama's here.
Also, these companies will fight the appeals for quite a long time, and the victims will probably be deceased by the time they ever get a final settlement.
Yeah.
Okay, you guys got to start reading comments too.
Yeah.
Because this is everybody's show. You got to read comments.
Is that one of the?
And
sorry.
That's one of the things you have to do, Scott. Come on.
Everybody pitch in. Yeah.
Well, Osama number 5 has several hearts there. He's got 5 hearts. So, that's a cool comment. As Shiva, 5G technology was mostly developed in Israel, yet Israel will not allow it to be used there. That's interesting.
Yeah. Okay, Moose Gal says AOC meets Greta Thunberg and talks about the global climate chaos. And Julie Love, cases have been won using the more harm if we do nothing, defense in court, and that's encouraging. Yes, it is. And let's see, yeah, okay. Just every once in a while, read a comment.
Going south. Going south gave the name of that the mine protesters in Germany. Ende Galande. I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong, but
that's
is
yep.
That's what people
It's
need to do,
incredible.
really, you know. But good luck getting Americans to do that shit.
No kidding. Zox is talking about the sea ice been on track to be lowest ever this year, and that's a fact. It is for sure. It's scary. Going south has been cool. His channel showing the graph of the chances of it being a blue ocean event, and it's going. That graph's going through the roof. Oh my God, the sky is so beautiful right now. Oh my God, you guys, you gotta see this. Oh, maybe you can't see it very well. Can you see it? Let me open the door. Look at those clouds. Are they pretty? Can you see them? No? I can't tell if you can see them. Can you see it?
Not clearly.
Beautiful. I can see it's beautiful. I'd give nothing not to live there.
They're so pretty. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. I love beautiful skies, but I know usually when they're orange it's because of pollution. So,
I can't even imagine such a beautiful place. I wish I would have stayed in Reno, but here I am.
oh yeah. Well, I'm in Wyoming right now. I'm up in Rock Springs, but I was in Nevada last week. My job.
It's amazing. You know, there's a lot less people where you live. Okay, this is on the eastern side. It is packed. Everywhere is packed. There's no, open land like you have in Utah. You're very lucky, Chris.
Salt Lake's pretty packed, but yeah, I live outside of Salt Lake City, but all the way along I-15 from Utah County up to Cache County, almost Cache County, Davis, Weber County is all like huge. There's millions of people, like literally millions of people
really?
just there. And then there's open country.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Chris, you ever seen the movie Soylent Green? The movie Soylent Green. There was the movie about overpopulation. But the way they did it in that movie, they had it so that you were literally stepping over people. And in the movie, they were handing out kind of GMO food. They called it Soylent Green, and the people would riot, and they would bring bulldozers and scoop up the people, scoop them up into the bulldozer. So they would yell, "Scoops are coming! The scoops are coming!" And it had cool. The movie foretold global warming. Okay, in that movie, they guessed roughly about this time, 2020. They guessed global warming. They guessed overpopulation. They guessed climate collapse. They got a few things wrong. They didn't have cell phones or computers, but this movie was made in 1973. It's a great movie with Charlton Heston. And overpopulation.
Green, like a mountain summit green.
No, yeah. Soylent
Green. Soylent like soybeans. Soylent Green. It's a great movie. It pretty much guessed our time. 40 years, 50 years into the future.
I have to take notes while the show is going on because there's so much to learn from everybody.
Just watch the trailer on YouTube. So
Moose Gal had a question for all you guys again. I will look it up. She wants to know Bernie Sanders. Sorry, did I interrupt?
Oh, no,
for president, who would be good on global climate chaos issues? Who do you guys think?
I think it's kind of pissing in the wind.
Yeah. I mean,
no comment.
The anti-war candidate would be huge. But I don't, they're pushing the Green New Deal, and I just think that's going to be more detriment than it will be help. And I will be talking to Derek Jensen about that exact issue on the 4th of July at 3:30 p.m. Mountain Time. So we're going to be talking about why the Green New Deal is not such a great deal, why it won't be very helpful. We need to rethink that whole thing, that whole strategy. So Yeah, so watch that, and then you can kind of decide for yourself, because it really, I don't even think it's going to matter, because we need things to happen right now. We don't have time to wait for the 2020 election. I'm sorry, we just don't. That's a year and a half away, and there should be things happening right now. We should be totally reducing our consumption of everything. We should be stopping transportation. I shouldn't be driving all over 4 states doing my job. People shouldn't be transporting food into, their state, or from other countries to this country. We need to stop all that. We need to stop it. We quit buying goods from China, or where they're shipping materials from here to ship it to China to be put together and then shipped back here. That is so devastating to the planet.
Or like Canada did, send garbage over to the Philippines and get it sent back.
Yeah, and Malaysia, and then it just sits there in the docks, or it just gets dumped there, and then there's piles and piles and piles of plastic. So recycling does no good anymore. So yeah, you got to do things like pre-cycling. I don't know how good you guys are on pre-cycle stores. We found one here, and that's amazing. Where you bring your own container.
We are.
How about this? We just tell that people are just told you cannot have any more children. Period.
Yes.
End of story.
I mean, that's really harsh, but that is where we're at right now. That is the desperate situation we are in right now. We
no
need
more
to stop.
children. Right. No more children until this situation gets under control.
Well, that might work here, but
calculator that's showing how many babies are being born right now. There's over 250 more people on the planet every single 250,000 more people on the planet every single day.
I wouldn't even give them the option. I just spray them with chemtrails and spray them with sterilize them. Just do it. I would just do it. Spray people, sterilize them. Okay, and maybe we might have a chance. I'm not. I mean, I'm being a little facetious, but not really. I'm serious. I think we're in that dire of a threat.
We are in that dire of a situation. It's just a matter of getting people to understand that. I mean, I understand the fact that cows cause a lot of problems, with methane and all that. But that alone's not going to save us. Like, stop eating meat, that's not going to save us. Although we should stop all factory farming, we should stop all monoculture, we should start growing our own food in our own neighborhoods. Whether or not you're good at growing or not, you have a neighbor who's good at growing, or you have a friend that's good at growing. There's an old lady who has a backyard that's not being used to grow in. There's so many opportunities to do that kind of thing. But we should get, instead of the big oil companies and all that getting all this money for their oil, all the subsidies, they should go to people who are growing food in their own area and sharing it with other people. You should get subsidies for that. You should get subsidies for using less electricity. They should be encouraging correct behavior. You should get a huge bonus if you don't have any freaking kids. It's like, forget about giving tax breaks to people with kids. No, give tax breaks to people who don't have kids. Give them a big bonus check. Here, you didn't want to have kids, you get fixed. Great, you're fixed. Here's $10,000. Thank you very much for not contributing to the climate crisis.
Chris,
just anything.
You just named 3 positive things. We recently met with the mayor and city council here in Lansing to talk about a climate action plan. And people are always saying, okay, protest, but let's build something alternative. And you just named 3 things right there. 3 solid things.
I've been thinking about it a lot.
And it's paying off. I'm taking notes. Those things are going in our climate action plan for the Tri-County
Other
area.
people go for it, though. I've been preaching that for months, and no one wants to.
There's been some interesting developments in the city of Detroit. Urban farming and city gardens, and they're trying to bring back Detroit. Maybe the best thing that ever happened to Detroit in the long run is that the manufacturing has collapsed, because I think there's sort of a lot of forward-looking people that are looking at all these solutions, and you know, people that live in food deserts are building community gardens, and there's actually urban farms that are several acres, and there's all kinds of solutions. I've got a vacant lot just down the street from me, and I'm trying to get the city's permission to start a community garden, and it's like it's like pulling teeth. You know, it's just it. Oh well, we might be using that for something else, and then the neighbors are complaining that
ridiculous how dense people are.
Red tape.
They are about stuff like this.
Yeah.
Just find some elderly people in your neighborhood who have a backyard that isn't being used, because they would love to have the young people there working in their yard and have someone to sit out on the back porch and watch them and give them advice on how to do it. They would love that so much. Absolutely. And it would be utilizing that place for more than just weeds and feeding people around the neighborhood. Why not? I mean, that is happening in, I'm pointing here, but I'm in Rock Springs. In Salt Lake, there's a place, it's called Urban, I don't know, is some kind of place, and they do that. They go and find old people's backyards where they can't work it anymore, and they actually plant gardens and get volunteers to work it, and the elder people love it, and they distribute the food to people who need it, veterans and people with cancer and stuff like that. They distribute this fresh food to all these people, you know, homeless people, poor people all over. I'm going to get a hold of, I've got his name written down at home, but I'm going to get a hold of this guy and bring him on my channel, because what he's doing is amazing, and it's a huge solution that any town can do what he's doing. It's just awesome, and I want other people to hear what he's doing. So, you know, those are things you can do in your own community. I do it in my own yard, and we share our food when we have extras, like our eggs and stuff. We always give them to the trailer park that's just up the street from us, because all those people are, you know, the working poor. They don't have enough money for stuff like that, for eggs. So we supply like 4 or 5 different families with eggs. And when we have the extra crops, we don't have any extra right now, but we will soon. We'll supply them with some food too that way. So.
Well, those are all practical solutions that I think involve community and building of community, and that's difficult in this. Like, we're all so hooked to our devices that a lot of people don't just talk to each other anymore. And I think we need to maybe have some spaces where people that are concerned can meet and can, what we're doing here, only in person, and come up with some solutions. And that's a positive. I've noticed that since the advent of our technology, that people just don't talk to each other the same way that they used to.
No, they don't. But will somebody respond to Moose Gal on this? We cannot have Americans not reproduce.
She's saying that we got to keep having kids so that the kids can support retirees. Well, you know, if humans go extinct, that's going to be kind of moot. There's going to be no kids to support you, so you can drive around in an RV all over the country, because
the wealthy people, if they paid taxes, the corporations paid taxes, there would be plenty to take care of everybody. You would be taking care of yourself when you pay into that. It doesn't matter. Money is just a human construct anyway. It's stupid. It's just ridiculous. We should be trading skills.
You know, unfortunately, this is not the time to take half measures. You have to take.
No, it's not. We can't keep growing population and expect for the climate to
yeah. People are not going to like a lot. I'm not going to like a lot of things. Okay, sacrifices are going to have to be made.
I like hot showers. I like a heater. I like all that, but you're going to have to deal with less comfort.
Yes.
Less everything.
And people,
no more kiwi fruit shipped in from Ecuador, or you know, bananas in the winter, things like that. It's like, no.
Well, some of it's absolutely ridiculous. We have lots of local strawberry growers around us, and you go into the grocery store, there's strawberries shipped from California. And, that's like 2,500 miles away. And there's lots of local, I go out and buy my fruit at local farms and things. But, why is it cheaper for these grocery chains to import fruit from California when there's lots of fruit around here? And this is in the summertime, right in the same, right at the same season. Why are we moving them around? I don't get it. No, I just don't understand.
Somebody gets money for it. That's why.
Yeah.
And it's cheaper because it's picked by people making 10 cents an hour instead of
I think there's
$5 an hour or $7 an hour, whatever the federal $7.25 or whatever the federal minimum wage is. It's cheaper because it's paid. Yeah, you're paying.
And if it's migrant labor, they don't even have to pay that, I guess.
Yeah.
A couple of people pointed out that Guy McPherson's testimony in front of the New York local council there. I'm not sure actually somewhere in New York. He testified in front of them, and you can watch it. Oh, now I lost it. Osama gave a link for that. Maybe if you have the link, put it up again there, Osama. Tim Bob's video of Guy's testimony.
Oh, yeah. Do you want to share it on your screen and watch it? Because is it long or?
Oh no! I was just saying he had posted the link there in case anybody was interested in it. And then Environmental Coffee House was saying about 5G. I've lost it now, but she said they're testing it out in Korea. But you know what? I looked at my wife's phone last night, and it said 5G on it already. So they must have already started.
Now I'm checking my phone. No.
I mean, why do we not get a say in these kind of things? Like they just.
We should have a say. No, they snuck that one right in under us.
Yep. Because I remember people saying, "Oh, it's super, super dangerous. Watch out!" And then all of a sudden, I look over at my wife's phone, and there it is.
My internet connection is 5G. It says right on the router, 5G. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I feel stupid.
I'm just going to say this about AI and leave it at that. If the AI got in charge and said, "This is what's going down. There's going to be less people. I'm sterilizing you. Less this. More airplanes." And that's it. That's that. Then, that's what I'm for. I don't really care. So we're at the stage, fuck freedom. Okay. We had our freedom. We made a mess of the situation.
Yes, we have. It hasn't disappeared. Nobody can piss her off too much.
I'm not going to say anything else about AI because I know not people really don't.
Yeah, somebody made a comment about that, and I'm sorry I lost it. But basically, if mommy and daddy, can't trust us to not fuck everything up, then
That's exactly it. We given the freedom and we made a mess. Kind of made a big mess with our freedom. So mommy and daddy, whatever that may be, the authority needs to take over and start setting limits to us.
Yeah, I really want to bring my son on and because he's more knowledgeable than I would ever be to talk to you about that. He understands AI way better than I do. He's an IT geek from hell. That's his job.
One thing Hambone and I have discussed is the fact he calls himself an eco-Nazi, and this is extremely unpopular what I'm going to say, but the situation has come down to where you have to have a dictatorship, an ecological deep dictatorship for survival of the species. And people are going to hate that, but it's just the way it is. Unless you got some miracle cure.
If we could just find a way for people to understand, maybe if the media wasn't lying to everybody, if they really knew how bad it was.
Lying I hate them. I hate those bastards.
I mean, but if no one understands the whole entire truth, they're not going to know how serious it is, and so they're going to keep having babies when they don't understand that their children are going to live horrible lives, starving and not having water, and be in the middle of war zones, and it's not going to be a fun life. So why would you want to bring a child into that?
There used to be a kind of a meme term. Man,
Oh, why did Moose Gal?
they need to get some tough love, on these shows and say, hey, look, I'm sorry, you're not going to like this, but this is reality. Sometimes reality is a harsh mistress. Sometimes.
Well, right now it is. It's serious, and we're talking about everybody who's here, all the natural world and future world. It's everything is at stake right now, and we've got to not think about who's going to take care of us when we're old. I'm not worried about who's going to take care of me. I'm worried about my kids and the life they're going to have. I will off myself before I let something happen to them, but it's not going to be under my control, because people keep popping out babies and having one child. It is worse on the environment than having 27 cars and driving 27 cars every single day, like the average person driving a big old diesel freaking car every single day for the environment. Choosing to have one less child is better for the environment than anything else you can do. Okay, Moose Gal, before she deletes it, don't delete it, because I really want the U.S. to change the food system here. I want to become involved for a change, but don't know what I can do. I feel that I'm getting myself sicker. Moose Gal, come on Wednesday, if you can, with the girls, because we talk a lot about what we can do as far as growing your own food and how to get involved in all that. So I don't know why your stuff keeps getting retracted, but I would love to have you on Wednesday when it's just the women talking on here. Probably a better environment.
Sexist.
Sexist? Really? That's not meant to be sexist. It's just easier, My daughter even told me that. She's like, okay, I'm only going to invite people to your Wednesday show because it's all women, and it's just, we're more solution based. We try to find ways to just make things better. It's just the woman thing. It's just whatever.
Are you trying to say that AI is not the solution, Chris?
I don't know. I'm not going to pretend I know, really. I don't know what the answer is. Although I do know there's too many people on the planet. That's one thing I know for damn sure. And that's a problem. Yeah. So that's the way it is. Stop all processed carbs. Yeah, that's always a good thing. Processed carbs suck. Processed anything sucks. Just cook your own food. For food, you know where it comes from. That's the best thing you can do for that. But anyway, stop having babies. Don't encourage your kids to have kids. I have 6 kids between my stepkids and children. I know. Don't laugh at me. Don't give me a hard time. I asked to be fixed when I was 23. The doctors would not do it. They refused, and that's bullshit. I'm sorry. It's bullshit. Women have to have control of their own reproductive rights. My husband at the time could get a vasectomy, but I couldn't get my tubes tied. What kind of horse shit is that? I mean, what century are we freaking living in? Right?
They don't do that anymore, do they?
It's not like I wasn't trying. I was not trying to not have kids. I was on every form of birth control there was. They just weren't very effective. Oh my God. And now the ones that are effective nowadays, they're giving people cancers and all kinds of other hormonal problems. So why it's much better for women to just get fixed, just have the tubes tied, and then they don't have to worry about the hormonal problems. They can just get, and then they won't have to worry about getting pregnant either. It's so wrong that just men could make that choice and women could not.
It's not that way anymore, is it?
What?
Is it still that way?
I don't know.
I would hope not.
I mean, that was when I was 23. That was like 25 years ago. So I don't know.
Well, I'd like to think that policy has changed since then.
I would hope so, but they're still encouraging women to just go ahead and have babies, and they're not making birth control accessible because they're fighting against Planned Parenthood. They defunded Planned Parenthood here. It's Now Planned Parenthood is entirely on money that's from donations and all that. They took away all the funding for controlling sexual transmitted diseases and all that stuff, and just basic health care, gynecology work and all that. And they took away the funding, all of it. So Planned Parenthood was the one place you could go when you were young and see a doctor and get birth control really easily for cheap or nothing.
So is that the crazy evangelicals that have done that, or that have pushed?
Fucking Mormons.
Oh, okay.
Mormons.
Yeah, well, evangelicals are just as crazy. So, I mean, I think religion is probably a big part of the problem.
That is a huge part of the problem.
Yeah.
That's a huge part of the problem. They don't believe women should have a choice. Their job is to stay home and have babies. That's it. That's their job.
Another thing you can thank Ronald Reagan for, the rise of the religious right, or enabling it, rather. Helping to enable it.
Utah is bass awkward. That's right. Yeah, Val. Fucking Mormons. Fucking Mormons. And I have good friends that are Mormon, but they believe in birth control and all that. So the ones that I'm friends with.
Sorry, go ahead, Val.
Okay, can I address Human?
Go ahead. Address whoever you want, please. Help me address comments.
He's saying overpopulation is not the problem, that distribution is the problem. So just keep adding people so we can have great distribution of plastic into the ocean, constant increase of resource usage, burning oil, fossil fuels, making plastics, dumping said plastics into the ocean, creating more CO2 into the atmosphere, creating more garbage, so that Philippines says hell no to your garbage and sends these garbage barges back across the ocean. The sky is completely covered in aircraft. What is that? The distribution you're talking about, Human?
I don't understand distribution. I love Human to death. I don't understand what he's talking about.
He's saying that it's a common thing. I've even seen it in Zeitgeist, that the problem isn't resources, but the problem is the way the resources are distributed. Okay, that there's inefficiencies in the resources or distribution. But he's wrong. The planet is using more than one planet's given resources. 2 or 3, 4.
We have to have if everyone lived at the way we're living in the U.S., there would have to be 7 planets to support everybody.
It's just ridiculous. You only have so much resources. This planet cannot support endless people.
First Nation people consume many times more than other Earthlings. That's true, Human. Absolutely, that's true.
I wish
they're trying to consume as much as we do, though. They're trying to, and that's not going to work out well for anybody. So we know we can't keep everyone at this lifestyle. So we need to reduce the people and reduce our lifestyle.
When I was kidding, I knew a family that had 10 children, and there were so many children. They lived in this wooden house that the house collapsed.
Wow.
It was that many children, and they couldn't take care of all the children at a reasonable level.
Well, would you guys agree that we've exported consumerism around the world?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And it's only increasing. Everyone wants to live the way we live, and that's just not going to happen, and it's not fair, and we shouldn't live the way we live. But everybody else wants to have the lifestyle we have, and they're trying to get that. It's not going to happen. What's that?
It's the Xbox. Everybody wants Xbox, burning up energy, internet servers, playing Xbox. Just everybody wants bling. Everybody, 7 billion people who want bling, who wants an SUV, who wants a Harley. I mean, it's endless. The desire is endless.
More people does not mean more plastic. Stop fossil fuel energy.
Oh, yeah.
But everything requires fossil fuel energy. If we have to rebuild infrastructure and all that, deep green, whatever, deep green lies is bright green lies that I'm going to talk to Derek Jensen about, is talking a lot about that. We just need fewer people. We can't continue
Yeah,
with
I agree.
water resources and food. We can't continue growing. It's an infinite planet, or finite planet. You can't have infinite growth on a finite planet. God,
Well, plus the psychological pressure. I get on my bike looking for, woods, and there isn't none. Everywhere you go,
no growth is the answer. Yeah, no growth. Stop having babies and let us depopulate.
Yeah. Suburban houses everywhere, just nonstop, endless suburban houses. There's no forest anymore. And
we need to start growing the forests, start growing all the natural world back, and depopulating the human population until we can get at a balance again. Until we get at that balance, we've got to do that. It's unsustainable. It's just not
sustainable.
As Shiva is saying, she's with Human on this. We can feed all the people currently on the planet. The problem is that we've yet to teach each other how to live sustainably. So
That's
many people are going to have to die.
Sure, we could feed them, but we're going to feed
well,
them
my question on that is,
we're going to kill us in the process and every other living thing, because every human that's on the planet needs so much to survive. We've already exceeded the carrying capacity. Just the people that exist today will take up all the resources left on the planet for everything. There's going to be 1 million species more gone within the next couple decades. 1 million more species.
Right.
And people are going to start dying off too. It's a matter of humanity to not bring more people on this planet that are just going to die, and to try and preserve what we can of the natural world while we can. And
right.
We probably can't preserve it forever, but we can preserve it as long as we freaking can. But the more people on the planet, the less the natural world gets to live. And that's wrong.
Yeah, that is wrong. She's right. We were murdering the natural world. Not only that, but they're talking about feeding all. That's the Green Revolution. This is fact. The Green Revolution brought in fossil fuels that increased, and also special types of rice grains and wheat grains and stuff that increased production of food to where it is that. But that's not natural. None of that's natural. The moose got.
Yeah, the Green Revolution actually allowed humans to overpopulate.
Yeah.
Overpopulate. If we didn't have the Green Revolution, people would have to learn to live within their means, what they could grow locally. But that didn't happen. Instead, we went into the whole monoculture thing and chemicals to grow things, and that allowed the population to go outrageously high. If people didn't have food to put on the table, they would have either naturally, babies would have passed away, or people would have said, "Oh, we can't do this," right. and there wouldn't have been the population explosion. So yeah, the Green Revolution was not a very good revolution at all.
And you look at somewhere like China. 30 years ago, everybody rode bicycles in China. Well, now they all have. Most of the people want cars, and they want to live just like Americans do. And you can't blame the indivial person.
No, you can't. Especially when they're not knowledgeable about what's going on. You can't blame them for wanting what we have. We are so spoiled, rotten.
And we don't realize it.
And our wings and everything. And we don't deserve to have what we have. We should be giving it back to the natural world as much as we possibly can. And I feel guilty every time I do anything. Like going to work, I feel guilty going to work, because of what it's doing to this planet. I hate it. I hate it so bad. I just want to stay home, grow my food at home, and share with other people and take care of my animals. I don't want to be polluting the planet, driving all over 4 states. I don't want to do that.
Couldn't survive otherwise, right? I mean,
no, I can't feed my animals if I don't have my job. The only other choice I have is working for Walmart, and that's not much better. Only it killed me. I couldn't physically do it because it's like Walmart is like you have to throw 3,500 cases per shift in a 10-hour shift, which is basically like 15 cases a minute. And you have to label it too. And you have to unload it off the truck. And I have a foot issue. It was killing me. it pushed me into so much arthritis. I had to get my second surgery, and I was done. But that was the only other job that was in the wage range that I needed to survive, And we have low job, like unemployment rate here, but all the jobs here pay diddly freaking squat unless you're in IT and working in the Silicon Slopes, like my son. And all my kids are in IT work, so they all do great.
Yeah, they squeeze you. They're squeezing everybody more and more, and they'll squeeze it till it pops. That's my opinion.
Yep.
I mean, what do you guys think? I mean, given that's Chris described the situation probably most people are in, right?
All of us are just doing our best to survive in a shitty situation.
Yeah, the system that was set up not by us.
Right. But we're seeing the mess that's going on. We're not deluding ourselves. We're not living in a delusional reality that everything's fine. We're trying to look for solutions and possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
That is our goal.
In order to get a solution, you have to realize what the problem is, and the number one problem is overpopulation.
Yeah.
That's the number one problem. Until people realize that's the number one problem, we're never going to have a solution. That's what worries me.
That's Alcoholics Anonymous. First thing is admit you got a problem.
Well, I'd say another big factor is just greed, or like the greed.
Consumerism, transporting food. I mean, you can go down the list, but absolutely, you can go down the list.
Well, I mean, if it weren't for William Randolph Hearst, we would all be using hemp products now, probably. It's like people, the people in power, just they just don't give a shit. They never have given a shit.
Hey, Pat, you remember in Wall Street where Gordon Gekko says, "Greed is good. Greed cuts to the whatever." Remember that scene?
Oh yeah.
In Wall Street, greed is again. It's one of the worst.
Was that the Wolf of Wall Street or something like that?
No, it was just the movie Wall Street with Charlie Sheen and
Michael
that's the
one I was thinking
from the 80s.
I thought it was the Wolf of Wall Street or something like that.
The Wolf of Wall Street just will admit that he was a psychopathic, greedy son of a bitch. He wasn't trying to.
Pollution is the number one problem, but where does pollution come from? It's humans. And also, what about biodiversity loss? I mean, that's another thing. The more humans are, there's less habitat for every other species. And plus, not only where they live, but all the places they take from to build, the houses and stuff, all the minerals, all the gravel pits, all the logs they take down just to build houses for all those people. It's like one human takes so much, especially in our area, in the U.S. We consume so much for one. Think of how many trees in a forest had to be knocked down to build one person's house, and they're living in a 5 fucking bedroom house with 2 people and a 4-car garage. I mean, for fuck's sake.
Jeff,
overconsumerism is a problem. Sorry, I get a little passionate about this.
Really. My own sister, she lives in a mansion in Tennessee. Her and her husband, 2 dogs. I mean, it's a huge mansion, and it's insane that they don't need this $400,000 house outside of Nashville. It's. I wish I could. Their storage shed is bigger than my house.
That's all they build these days. If you look at developers, they build these McMansions.
Yeah.
And
I hate McMansions.
Yeah. I live in a 1940s bungalow that is tiny. And they built them after these houses after the Second World War for the returning vets and everything. Nobody wants tiny houses. They want to buy these huge chipboard palaces and waste all these resources. And like you say, there's usually maybe a family of 2 or 3 living in these enormous places and incredibly wasteful as far as energy goes, as far as the amount of materials that go into it. Maintaining it's endless, and it's just the way people want to live. They do not want to make any sacrifices. They don't want to touch on their lifestyle at all. I'm happy living in a tiny little house.
I would,
My wife and I, right?
You know what I would do? I would spray paint on their houses greedy.
Yeah.
Things like that. McMansion.
Yeah.
Environmental killer. I would just spray, so when they come out and go, oh my God, around their big ass trucks, I do the same thing. I key them now.
About 10 years ago.
No.
Chris Foster's coming on.
This is not time to play footsies. This is time to send a message.
I agree.
Hello, Chris Foster. We get to meet Chris Foster. Guys, everybody meet Chris Foster. Say hi, Chris. He's the night owl that always stays up and watches when he can. How you doing? Say hi. Talk. I want to hear your accent.
Which one do you want?
Which accent do I want?
I've got plenty of accents if you want an accent.
Say hello to. You've got a great accent. That's fabulous.
My Yorkshire accent.
Okay, we got a little heated there.
I can see that people don't want to talk about things like this.
In
reality,
everyone's saying hi, Chris.
People need to be confronted with this shit. That's all I'm saying. They need to be confronted with this shit.
It's reality. I'm sorry. I don't know if Human was telling me to quit drinking or, and then we'll talk. I don't know if that's what he was talking about. I'm drinking pomegranate lemonade. I can quit if you want.
I'm drinking vodka.
I would like some vodka in that pomegranate lemonade. So what do you think, Chris? Tell us what you think of the conversation and what's going on.
Kind of chaotic at the moment.
Yeah, it is. He's going to be a delay, guys, because he is across the pond. So just understand there will be a delay. Okay, go ahead.
Well, I think we're pretty much screwed unless we change course. But what we need to do is get control of the media.
Oh, yeah, we do, for sure. Who has an echo? Miss Gal? Do I have an echo? Chris is on. Don't you see Chris? Sandy wants to see you.
Hello.
See? He's there.
Hey, I look like Batman.
Can you see the comments?
Yeah, they're just up to the side.
Okay.
That's a good. Thanks.
Trev,
a little louder. It can't be too loud. My wife's sleeping in the next room.
Understood. Okay. Daniel Gallmeier says hello, hello, hello.
Hey, have you guys heard
of as well? What?
Have you guys heard of the term fat shaming?
I don't know if there's a micro on this thing. Hopefully there should be.
Fat shaming? Did you say fat shaming?
Yeah, I fat shaming. I think we ought to shame greed. Shame greedy people.
Well, that's just weird. I just looked over my shoulder and saw myself.
You look beautiful. Yeah, greed shaming. Yes, greed shaming would be fabulous. I think we should do a lot of greed shaming. And shaming people who buy ginormous houses that they don't need, that are taking a ton of resources, not only to build, but to heat and to cool and to grow their ginormous lawns, which I think should be made illegal at this point. We shouldn't have ginormous lawns.
Stop building new strip malls, for God's sake. Stop building more Starbucks.
Hey, Chris, if you have the YouTube tab open, turn down the volume on it. I had that problem with you. It sounds like you have a 2 audio streams going or something.
Oh, yeah. It takes a minute to get this down.
Yeah, that's better. Thank
Oh,
you.
yeah.
And thank you, Sandy.
That's the problem. Never done this before.
Much better. Well, it's a learning curve going through this. I still go through it sometimes. I forget to turn off my volume of my YouTube stream, and then you get to hear me twice. It's really fun. Yeah, greed shaming. Maggie May likes greed shaming. I think it sounds interesting.
Okay, look, the
Yeah.
numbers on the way up.
Let's see.
I like expensive sports cars, like Lamborghinis and Ferraris. But I would key them. I would put spray paint, greedy on them.
Mm-hmm.
You got a $250,000, $400,000 car. That's just going too
Just
far.
make sure you're not caught on TV.
That's true. I already been that route. But at any rate, people seem to be scared to do that or feel like that you're imposing on other people's rights. That people have the right to build a huge mansion or to buy a $500,000 car. They're killing me. They're killing us. So I don't see how they should have that right to do that. I don't see how they should have a right to build.
They shouldn't.
New strip malls. Come in, build a strip mall like we don't have enough.
I know I invoke George Carlin a lot, but he has a really great bit on rights, which you can find on YouTube. I highly recommend everybody watch that.
What
you
is
have
that?
no right.
George Carlin. Just do a search on YouTube for George Carlin and rights.
I think I've probably seen it, but I love George Carlin.
Right.
They have this tiny house movement on YouTube, and there's a bunch of videos with tiny house movements, and that's all well and good, but that's not enough. That's about halfway. Okay. Yeah. The other half is shaming the people who are buying these McMansions.
And if they have one, they should have to fill it up. And if they have two, they should have to fill up both of them with all the homeless people.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Whatever.
They should be forced to put homeless in. Okay. This is shit that's too radical for some people. It's just way too out there. Climate trials, having stuff like this. But to me, it seems like everything Extinction Rebellion's doing, and Greta Thunberg saying, "I want you to panic."
Yeah, and we need to panic, but no one's panicking. They're like, "Oh, we can do the Green New Deal, rebuild all of our infrastructure with solar panels and wind and all kinds of other things." But that's not going to save us, because you have to actually mine more to build an entire new infrastructure. You have to actually transport everything you mine to the place it's manufactured. You have to transfer from where it's manufactured to where you utilize it. And meanwhile, you're using all the land that is another animal's home to mine and extract everything you need for it to build what is supposedly going to save the planet. But the problem is we need the other species and their ecosystems to survive ourselves. So that is just a Band-Aid on a bullet wound. It's not going to save us. So we got to stop thinking about increasing energy and start thinking about decreasing energy usage and consumerism.
And living simpler.
Thinking that.
Living simpler.
So
yes, living more simply. Yes.
So the big question is, how likely do you guys think any of that is to happen? Like, do you think that, people are suddenly going to wake up? Because I don't really foresee it happening.
I agree. That's why I think they have to be forced to. I think you have to have a ecological dictatorship. Unfortunately, freedom only lets greedy people do greedy things, and we have to stop that. I don't like it either. Okay, but if your kid is doing dope, okay, you say you get tough love on them. You know, you put them in the
Jeremy Chase is asking what's my solution. I've been giving solutions all night. Have I not?
Yeah, Chrissy's been on fire, man. She's been
on fire.
Don't make me repeat them. I'll go back and watch later, you know, just go back and watch, because I'm not going to repeat everything, because there are a lot of solutions, but the problem is getting people to actually do them, and especially governments. But I'm telling you, there are unintended consequences to the Green New Deal and rebuilding all of our infrastructure. There are so many unintended consequences, and it will probably just end up benefiting corporations again, and destroying everybody and everything else. And they'll just be fat and happy until we all die.
I don't think they're willing to even do the Green New Deal. I think that, I mean, you've got a president right now who says he's not going to do anything about it. Nothing. Yeah. So
well, they're counting on getting a new Democratic president, and that will do all that. Which that's not going to happen either, because they're gonna cheat the progressives. So the Green New Deal is a moot point anyway. But they may be convinced to do it if there's some corporations that think they can make some money off of it, and then they get lobbyists in there to push it, and that's the only way it would happen. But it would guaranteed not to help the planet.
Maybe not as much as we
live on less.
It's better than doing nothing. That's my personal belief. Canada just banned single-use plastics. It's not much.
Good. No,
that's something. You know, so
no,
there are
like that. Yes, living more simply. But the Green New Deal, as far as putting in solar and wind and all that and rebuilding our infrastructure, is actually a bad idea. It's going to make it happen faster. And that's what I'm concerned about. It makes my heart sick thinking, what if that did happen? And so they start this big project. The original New Deal was actually devastating to the environment. It was horrifying to the environment. And people didn't think about that because they had jobs and they were happy. I didn't think about that until I thought about that and thought about all that mining that made it happen, all the destruction where the roads were built and where all the dams were built, how destructive dams are to the natural environment. Okay, I'm gonna have so many people mad at me. I guarantee you I'll have like at least 10 people unsubscribe for me tonight. I guarantee you it's gonna happen. But I can't not be me. I'm sorry. I thought this through way too much. And it hurts me to even think about the Green New Deal the way they have it set up. If they were talking about building forests, rebuilding nature, that would be my idea of a Green New Deal. Stop using plastics, recycling, giving local farmers subsidies to grow food in their area, giving businesses and individuals subsidies for working out of their home instead of traveling to somewhere else to work. That would be my idea of a Green New Deal.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. It could be done. See, you're talking about solutions again. So what you've got
instead of getting oil companies subsidies, corporations subsidies for building new plants and mining, no.
Trev says high energy efficiency and green solutions can be done with increased quality of life. And yeah, I mean, and he mentioned his sister had a really efficient house but I mean, all these things can be done, but will they? That's my question to everybody.
And how much nature will be destroyed in the process of building new shit?
Well,
I mean, it's a shame because we could be so much clever.
What's that, Chris?
I don't think anything's going to be done until we have a good control over the narrative. As it stands, we don't have any control over the narrative.
I know. I do.
Narrative.
Well, that's why I am here. I'm hoping that some of these ideas will spread around or move up to people like Roger Halloran. Okay, that some of the like when I talk about AI or I talk about the Climate Criminal Court, because I'm not a writer. I don't, I'm not a journalist. So I'm hoping that these ideas or business ideas will move to bigger people. And that's why I'm here in this doing this.
That's being optimistic, given that 6 corporations run all the media in the world.
Well, you got that right, buddy.
You know, it's unless there's some sort of democratization of the media, we're never going to get this message out, because it's not in the corporation's best interest, and everything they do
I agree, but I look at myself as sort of an underground sort of person.
Sure, me too.
And she's going to be talking to Derek Jensen Wednesday.
Yeah, Thursday.
And he's an extremely radical dude. And he's wrote a lot of books.
We're going to talk about this. It's called Bright Green Lies. Is
right.
the book.
And there's a lot of people in this country who are thinking along our lines. Okay.
There's a few more I've noticed. I'm starting to hear more people understand that concept, but it's few and far between. But
the idea is we're talking about. We're hoping that bigger people will move on these ideas and have the power to take more action on it. That's what I'm hoping for. If not, it's all that's lost. And I got my bottle here. This is what I'm gonna do. Last resort, man.
Knitting's great for the environment. And Jeremy Chase says we're mining for energy now. They cut down millions of acres of forest in Canada for tar sands, wind, solar, and water as a positive direction. They have to use fossil fuels in order to produce everything you would need for the green energy. You have to build it somehow, which means you need fossil fuels until that's built. So you're just gonna make it worse. We need to consume less. We need to reduce our lifestyle immensely. But people would rather hold on to that instead of save our planet. They just want to keep their gadgets and their doodads and their fancy lawns and fancy houses. They don't want to consider living a little more simple life in order to save the planet. They won't do that. That's why I am a doomer.
But isn't that a little bit hypocritical with all of us sitting here using this tech? And
I know.
You know, I mean, we all got.
I don't think it is. I don't think it is, man. It's here.
The only way we have to communicate.
Why not use it? You know, look, man, I go to the grocery, use reusable bags or recycle. I use a push mower. I try to use everything electric. I do as much as I can. I'm not saying that's great. I put solar panels on the roof, blah, 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 blah. But this tech is here. I'm going to use it. I'm going to do whatever I can
to help get the word out.
Yes, to forward these goals.
Okay, I really wouldn't worry about your yarn so much, Miss Gal. Just make sure buy wool yarn from a local farmer. You know, don't buy the chemically processed stuff, but I'm sure you can find that. I wouldn't worry about that as much. I don't know. Michael Cooper, human beings are inherently stupid. We'll burn every drop of oil we can get our hands on. Yes, absolutely. Until we all die, and they'll die gripping onto their cell phones and whatever other device they have, their Game Boy, until they can die, and to hell with everything else. Oh my God!
Apple should be shut down.
Yeah. When you consider everything it takes you have to mine for cobalt and copper. I live near one of the biggest copper mines on the planet. It takes up a whole mountain. It has eaten an whole entire mountain. And I drive by the tailings pond to and from work almost every single day. And it stinks. And when the wind blows, it's a dust storm of freaking mine tailings that killed several of our horses back in the day. And they had to take up 3 feet of soil out of my parents' property, all around their property. They didn't do it where the horses were, and we lost 5 horses in 5 years because of that shit. And I'm sorry, mining kills. And that's what it takes to build solar panels. That's what it takes to build windmills. That's what it takes to build all this technology that people think is going to save us. We need to go back in time, and we need to reduce population more than anything at all. And I'm sorry, people are going to hate me for saying that, and they have. That's what makes people just like unsubscribe, unsubscribe. You can't talk about population. That's a taboo topic, but it's the freaking truth. Why can we talk about culling all kinds of populations of wild animals when they get out of control, but we can't talk about human overpopulation at all? Not even talk about maybe, birth control and stuff like that. And it's impossible. I don't get it.
Sterilization for the nation is the solution. I mean, sterilization should be ubiquitous, but my proudest achievement in life is not reproducing.
I'm very thankful for that. I wish I had that opportunity, although I love my children dearly. I love every single one of them. I didn't want to have kids. I never wanted to have kids. It should have been my right to be sterilized when I wanted to.
Of course. Yeah, of course. You should be applauded for that. I don't think people are willing to do that. I mean, they still have this whole traditional idea of, well, I'm going to get married and I'm going to have a family, and I don't get it. We're living like we were still in the 19th century in that sense, and yet when we see the results of that, there's nobody doing anything about it. They knew the population bomb was written, I don't know how many years ago, many years ago, and we knew this was coming. And my wife is much like you, Chris. She never wanted to have children, and that's acceptable to me. I never did either.
It was really because of population. Not that I hated kids. I never hated kids. Well,
right.
They annoy me. Other people's kids annoy me, but all kids love me. I don't know why. It's really weird. But it wasn't because I didn't like kids. I was worried genuinely about the world overpopulating from a very young age.
Yeah.
I was terrified. And now it's actually happening. My fear has come to fruition. It's happened. We're done.
Does China still have their 2-child policy, or is that gone the way of the dodo bird? Because they tried that for many years, right?
I don't know.
It's gone.
It's like 10 o'clock, and I have to get up and have an early morning interview with Marcus Conte.
Hey, I know you're gonna go to bed, but he mentioned that that's where they made him do it in China. They said two kids, that's it.
Yeah, it didn't work very well. I think you could do it better with some positive reinforcement. Hey, get yourself sterilized, get a check. I think a lot of young people would take a check.
Yep.
So
incentivize rather than coerce.
Yes, incentivize. Definitely.
Coercion.
Says after a policy change of the Chinese government in late 2013, most Chinese provinces further relaxed the policy in 2014 by allowing families to have 2 children if one of the parents is an only child. So there you go.
Wow. Okay. Well, I think we'd be better off incentivizing it. I think a lot of, especially of the millennials, I think they would love to have a check and get sterilized, or maybe a stipend that they can, even better, every month. You get sterilized, you get $200 a month.
Yeah.
I mean,
do that. And a new iPhone.
Yeah. Well, let's not push the consumers into that. Let's not do that. Not push corporations. Don't want to go there, but yeah, guys, I'm really excited that Chris Foster popped on. Of course, Pat the Batman fan, Scott Murphy, and Vegamatic and Val. Always awesome to have you guys. Hopefully, Osama will join me next week.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, he was on last week, so I can't give him too hard of a time. I love it when Osama's on. Then we'll have the girls. Shiva, if you want to jump on, you're more than welcome on Wednesday, 7 p.m. for Women's Wednesday. Anyone who wants to join, Maggie already knows she's invited. Sandy, hopefully she'll be there. Jilly can always be there, but I doubt she will. I'd love to have her show up, though. That'd be really fun because everybody loves Jilly. Warlord Plingston. I love new people that show up. The debris landed in Turkish-occupied Cyprus, so they have all the evidence. Okay, I don't know what they must be talking.
No one should force sterilization.
No one should force sterilization. No, I'm saying incentivize it. I'm not saying force it, but also make it super available instead of making it impossible. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Jeremy said something great here. Jeremy Chase said something great here. There is plenty for all the world's need, just not enough for all the world's greed.
Nice.
Maybe, yeah. But
Nice.
yeah,
That's good.
but people have a hard time deciding what is need and what is just want. When people can figure that out, then better chance. I don't know. Okay. Anyway, you guys, I really do have to go because I have to sleep.
Nice seeing everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Chris, for having the stream.
Yeah.
And all the work you do. Really appreciate it. Keep up the good work.
I love it when you guys pop on, especially new people. Well, not new. You've been on the chat, of course, but to have you actually here and Chris Foster. You guys are amazing, all of you. And Pat, the Batman fan, Vegamatic. Thank you guys. I'm really gonna go. I love you all.
So long, sucker.
Thank you.
Take care, everyone.
He's stopping, bro.